Jesus more.
So, my dear brothers and sisters, today we come across very beautiful readings. The first reading being the anointing of David. And in the gospel, we still find something about David. When Jesus compares himself to David, he is the new David. First, I want to start with what he says. He says that, did you not read when David, what David did in his own time of need, that he came with his followers and they entered the temple in the time when Abiathar was high priest? Actually, when I read through the details of this, I realized that the bread was not given to David by Abiathar. It was not given by him. It was given actually by Abiathar's father. Ahimelech was the priest at the time. So why would Jesus use Abiathar, who is Ahimelech's father? There is a reason for this. Ahimelech was very faithful to David, and he was really one of the most favorites of all the priests at the time. And when David came into the temple at that time, they were very desperate because they were escaping from Saul. And he came with his disciples, with his followers, and he asked for bread. And Ahimelech told him, we don't have any spare bread. We have only consecrated bread. And this was forbidden for anybody to eat. But David was given this bread, and it was not regarded as something that was guilty. That is the point. It was not regarded as something that was guilty, even though he ate something that was forbidden. Now, Jesus uses Abiathar in the gospel. He says that what David did when Abiathar was high priest, because Abiathar came up during the time of Solomon, David's son. And when he came up, he became opposed to the son of David. And because he was opposed to the son of David, he was banished from Jerusalem. And then his reign and his kingdom, that old order ended with Abiathar. So he was banished and his old order was terminated. So his reign expired and the priesthood of Abiathar was expired because of their disobedience and their opposition, because of his opposition to the son of David, Solomon. And the Pharisees know this. They know this story very well. So Jesus is telling them, because he also is the son of David. He's referred to as the son of David. Jesus himself is the son of David. Remember Bartimaeus in Mark chapter 10 says, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. So Jesus is also identified as the son of David. So Han goes shoulder to shoulder with Solomon. And he's giving a warning, therefore, to the Pharisees that if you continue to oppose me, just like Abiathar opposed Solomon, your reign will be terminated. It will be over very soon. And that is why Jesus does not use Ahimelech, he uses Abiathar to remind them of the story of what happens to those who were opposed to the son of David, that their reign was terminated. And remember, Abiathar was the great-grandson of Eli, who, you remember Eli at the beginning of the book of Solomon, of the book of 1 Samuel, and the prophecy came already in 1 Samuel chapter 2 and chapter 3, that the reign of Eli is going to end. His priesthood is going to be terminated. And this happens through Abiathar. So therefore, this is a sound warning to the Pharisees. They are being told, if you are not careful, if you continue to oppose the son of David, who now is not Solomon, but now Jesus, your reign will be terminated. That is something that we should think, that is something I wanted to just point out. But secondly, the fact that Jesus does not only identify himself with the son of David, but he identifies himself with David himself. That if David was able to go against, was an exception to the rule and the law, that he ate bread that was not meant for ordinary people to eat, but only for the priest, that if he was an exception to that rule, then he also is a new David who is the exception to the law of the Sabbath. He is Lord over the Sabbath. Just like David was an exception to the law, he has power. He is a Lord above the Sabbath. He is stronger than the Sabbath. Because now, the Sabbath actually was not meant to be just concrete as it was placed by the Pharisees. The Sabbath was just a reminder for the people of their dependence on God, that we need to put this day aside to show how much we depend on God for everything. We don't have to work to get everything. We don't have to do work all the time, but that we put a day aside when we say that we totally depend on God. We are not going to do any work. But now the Pharisees coins all these things and made it become a burden over the people. And that's why Jesus reminds them, the Sabbath is meant for man and not man for the Sabbath. The Sabbath is meant to serve us and not us to serve the Sabbath. And that is why it's so important. This is what we could take away from this. Not about Abiathar, not about Ahimelech, not even about the Sabbath, but just to remember that it is true we still have laws today, and these laws are meant to help us. They are not meant to be a burden and a yoke over us. So, for instance, if you are living, it's an obligation. I just give an example. It's an obligation for us Catholics to attend Mass on Sundays, right? If you don't attend Mass, we should go to confession because it's a mortal sin. Now, what happens if you are coming for Mass? You have to keep that obligation. And then your neighbor is in labor and he has to be taken to the hospital, and you are the only person to help that neighbor of yours. Are you going to go to Mass and fulfill the obligation? Or are you going to take your neighbor to the hospital and have her and save her life? And this is the questions that we have to ask ourselves all the days. And this is what Jesus means by being the Lord over the Sabbath. Because he has come with a new law, a law of love, a law of freedom, a law of mercy. This is something that is there over the Sabbath that the Pharisees did not have. The Pharisees, it was you had to obey the law of the Sabbath. It didn't matter if somebody was dying or not. It didn't matter if your son had fallen into a well or not. No, you had to keep the law of the Sabbath. But then, what happens is that when Jesus came, he introduced another law, the law of mercy. That is why he heals people on the Sabbath, because he loved them and he showed them God's mercy. That is why he was able to heal this woman who was bent over on a Sabbath, because he loved this woman and because he showed this woman mercy. He showed to the people who were around him about the mercy of God. And this is what we are meant to do, my dear brothers and sisters. It is true, the laws are there, you should do this, you should not do that, you should do that, or not. But at the bottom of that what we should be foundational to our action should be love and mercy. And in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 22, verse 40, he says that love, the law and the prophet are based on love. Love is the greatest of all laws. Therefore, in everything that we do, in every law that we keep, our motivation has to be love and mercy. And let us ask God in this Eucharistic celebration that he may instill in us those virtues of love and mercy, that we will act with kindness and love towards each other. Because if we do not love the neighbors, our friends that we see every day, how can we claim to love the God that we do not see?
Kiss us, mother, kiss your children. Bring God's blessings from above. With your mantle blue enfold us in your gentle holy love. See the darkness dissipating, hear the trumpet echoing, Satan's rage